everyone, welcome back to the next episode of G&A Podcast. I, unlike Useless Goddess, am the new servant with Golden Rule EX, Drooby
And I am your favorite gem obsessed goddess, Sobroni.
Wow.
I'm glad
I'm
we
so
both had
glad.
Ishtar on the
Yes,
mind today.
you did. And welcome to the G&A Podcast. We talk about all things anime. Let us begin with our first segment this week in anime. I'm not even sure if I said it correctly, but I don't care because I
We
am
only have
so
so much time to discuss this.
we went so much. So yeah, let's get into this. According to Anime News Network, UN Human Rights Committee's new guidelines for child pornography express deep concerns about drawings. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll read a little bit. So the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Committee for the Rights of the Child published a new version of its guidelines on the implementation of the optional protocol to the Convention of on the Rights of the Child on the Sale of Children, Child Prostitution, and Child Pornography on September 10th. The committee adopted the guidelines on May 31st. Bob Laskis is a skip. So new guidelines on what is child porn, essentially. Here's a paragraph. Section 5, prohibition of the offenses covered by the optional protocol of the new guidelines document includes the following statement. The committee is deeply concerned about the large amount of online and offline material, including drawings and virtual representations depicting non-existing children or persons appearing to be children involved in sexually explicit conduct, and about the serious effect that such material can have on children's right to dignity and protection. The committee encourages states parties to include in their legal provisions regarding child sexual abuse material, in parentheses, child pornography, representations of non-existing children or of persons appearing to be children, in particular when such representations are used as part of a process to sexually exploit children.
So yeah, basically the UN is just like, we consider hentai with lowly to be child porn.
It's essentially.
Or at least they're trying to make that part of the process. I find the best part of that paragraph to be, we're concerned about ... non-existing children.
Depicting non-existing.
We are concerned about non-existing. I'm just going to put that out there. When you're concerned about things that don't exist, y'all got some problems. How about you concern yourself about things that do exist, like the actual children who are being abused, instead of like scapegoating it. So,
exactly.
My biggest issue with this, because I know Drew pitched this, he pitched it to me like 5 minutes before the thing started. But and I can do like a whole series that's like 60 minutes about this, but I just hate, in general, not just when it comes to this issue, but in general when people scapegoat really complex and difficult issues onto some other thing, like, oh, this is horrible, and it's all because of X, Y, and Z. It's not. If you got rid of all the child lowly hentai in the world, there's still going to be a lot of child sex rape. It doesn't impact the actual issue. You're just trying to tackle something that's more manageable so that you can say you did something when you're really not having an effect on anything.
Yeah, so that's crazy.
Also, we're totally demonetized now, by the way.
Oh yeah, we're out here kind of just saying, just basically condemning. How do I say that? How do I say this without like? There's a difference. Yeah, we're out here like praising lolis and loli porn and whatnot, or lolis and hentai or what have you. But basically, Japan's response was like, so apparently you guys didn't reach to us to talk about this, even though the UN knows that like this is definitely like a Japan thing. Like you guys know this. One of y'all had Hentai Haven up as a kid at some point, so you knew what the deal was, and you know where this came from, and you didn't go to Japan. So, basically, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan said they posted a response on September 18th saying, "It is disappointing that these guidelines were released without the committee having carried out sufficient discussion among the countries, including our country, that are affected by the optional protocol." The statement also noted that the guidelines are not legally binding for the states party to the
Yeah.
OPSC. So basically, they said we can look at it. We could be like, okay, girl, and then we can also keep it moving.
The UN actually has no power, which is why every I feel like every 3 or 4 months something happens where it's like people send me a link like, oh my god, the UN is gonna ban this, and I'm like, yeah, but it's the UN. The UN makes a bunch of resolutions and stuff, and they have no legal power whatsoever on anyone. If you and if all right, so if me and Drew and 2 other people just got together and made a binding resolution and emailed it to the Prime Minister of Japan, it would have as much power as the UN has over Japan. So,
That is wild.
yeah, the UN is pointless when it comes to actually trying to enforce anything. So, my favorite line to sum it up is Dave Chappelle had this really old joke on the Chappelle show where he was like mocking George Bush and he was like pretending to be George Bush talking about the invasion of Iraq, and then he gave this line like, "Oh, if the UN doesn't like it, then they can sanction me with their army." Oh wait, you don't have an army, so y'all better shut the fuck up and back away. I would do if I didn't have an army. I'd shut the fuck up. And that's basically the UN in a nutshell. The UN can say a bunch of shit, but they ain't got an army, so they ain't gonna be carrying anything out.
Yeah, I feel like the UN is just very like super peacekeeper politics. It's like we should do this. We don't have to, but we should.
Yeah, basically.
And yeah, this is the same. It's just, I mean, for Howard to say that the UN doesn't have like any type of political power, that I feel like it has as much power as people give it, and I feel like people give it not enough power that they can't influence things like wars and stuff, but like I think enough that it's like, I feel like, the UN had a lot of power back in the day, and I feel like it has enough pull to convince certain things to be done, to pressure certain
They would
rules to
need
be
to.
followed.
They would need to have some kind of leverage, though. I don't think they have any. It's not
They
like
don't
they're
have
like
it
we're gonna ban Japan from the trades
exactly.
if we don't. They don't.
And all the countries don't want to do that because everyone really likes
It's more
Japan.
like a
So
suggestion. It's like, hey, we suggest you do this, and Japan's foreign minister was like, how about no?
exactly, that's basically what's happening. So yeah, let's hope this stays where it is and never moves ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though I am not a lolicon, um, I firmly believe in the rule of if I may not like it, but if you are not hurting anybody, go nuts.
Exactly. It's a freedom of speech thing. So even if I don't like it, which I do, but if it was something I didn't like, I'd just be like, whatever, you do you. There's plenty of things that I ain't into, but if you're into it and you're not hurting anybody, go for it.
Yes. Well said. Now we can finally get to the meat and the bones of this episode. Let's start with the weekly review, starting with what?
It's just such a weird segue to go from lowly porn to My Hero Academia.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it most certainly is. But yes, as Oni said, it is My Hero Academia season 4, episode 7.
Only 7 episodes in. I feel like we're 15 episodes. It feels like so much has
It,
happened.
so much has happened. So today, as I was watching a bunch of anime, there's 2 anime in particular, or I guess 3, including this one, that had one half of the episode was very much nothing happens, and the other half a lot of stuff happens. This is one of them. I'm sure from Oni giggling, he knows at least one, if not both. And there is a very clear difference between this one and the other 2. As in the first one, as in this one, where the first one, even though nothing happened, it was still good to watch. I was still entertained. It did not feel like dead air for like half the episode before stuff is happening.
Well, if you're comparing it to what I think you're comparing it to, we'll get to it later. But I will agree that this half of the episode, and that's only, and we're gonna talk about that then because that's a really bad, silly comparison to make between those two shows. Like I always say, and I know you're doing it just to make me upset. Anywho, Hero Academia is literally the best shonen out there, so I'm not gonna compare it to anything besides like Attack on Titan or
I
whatever.
mean, it's not even like it's not even but see, that's the thing. It in the first half, it did something very it did something I would think that would be very good in a drama. Like it gave me drama in the first half.
Yes, because the writing is very, very good. It's good at being tense.
That's why I'm comparing it to the other things, because this wasn't a shonen material. Like if I said let's compare fights to other anime that aren't shonen, then yes, that'd be a very unfair comparison.
Okay, but you got to take into account. You got to take into account the amount of budget and effort and goal and strengths of the series.
This shows a lot more effort than.
Yes, it does, because there's a lot more resources poured into it. It's like comparing a 5-star course to McDonald's. I'm just saying.
Fair enough. Although I feel like comparing anime is like the anime we watch to one another is just like a thing to do on a podcast where it's just anime.
Not that far apart. Not anime that are fucking leagues and miles apart just for you to make a point about something. Anywho, This episode was great because it had a lot of tension and drama, like you mentioned.
Literally, when Midoriya just starts crying in the middle of eating, once they're like, "Oh, we'll be there for you," but he's crying because he can't say anything, but he's like really sad and he talks about his feelings, but he can't. I'm just like, oh, how much more awesome can a main character get?
Todoroki was awesome too. The way he kept like offering food to him, like, oh, what a bro.
He's like, you want some soba? How about some? Yeah. And then when he starts crying, he's like, no, it's okay if heroes cry when they need to. I'm just like, oh, like I want to show this to my children. I want to show this anime to my children. Yeah,
this is such a good show. And like the way it built up tension the whole episode was like the slow build up to the invasion of the fortress was great. I love that it goes in detail and shows you like the actual process. Like every other show would have done something like a time skip, like 2 days later, and they would just be outside the house, like, all right, let's invade. No, we actually got to see the actual, stalking and police work.
Or they would just be like, oh, how'd you find it? And then just like 5-second flashback.
I followed this guy for 5 seconds and he walked right into the
but no, it's actually a lot more thorough than that.
Yeah, like they have to go to all these different locations and look for stuff. Like it felt, and that gives the world a lot more life. Like it feels more fleshed out, and little things like that really matter in terms of immersion. So it felt really, really awesome.
Yeah. Like I was very much, it was so weird. I felt very much into it. This and another anime where I just felt so like into it. I didn't really take much notes on it. Because like by the halfway, I was just like, oh, wait. It was almost over.
I love we got a little bit of action at the end, but I'm really liking the setup for all these fights. Like they look like they're going to be interesting. That girl at the end transforming into the weird dragon thing.
That was really cool.
It was, but I want to see that fight through. Like it looks like it's setting up a bunch of really interesting one-on-one battles.
Yeah, well, that's not one-on-one because it's her and the other.
Oh,
two
or 3-on-3 or whatever. I just think it's interesting that they set them up. Like the scenario is very unique. It's not just like here's a tournament and everyone's gonna fight each other in this tournament.
I kind of disagree on that point, only because it's like we're rating. There's literally an anime we're talking about where they're literally almost doing the same thing. They're almost doing the same thing.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. They always do tournaments. I'm glad it's not just another tournament or something.
No, I'm saying a rating of a place. Like there's another anime that's doing the same thing that My Hero Academia is doing this week that we're going to talk about.
Not on the same level though.
Okay, obviously on a better scale, but it's the same concept where we are breaking into the bad guy's house.
No, now you're being very. If you're talking about what I think you're talking about very loose definition of rating.
So all these people who are about to be separated and fight, had their little 1-on-1, 2-on-2 fights. That is nothing like a certain episode that happens later on. That's nothing like another episode.
Well, if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, are we gonna say that fire? Are we gonna say that Hero Academia? Are we gonna say that those two shows are? I'm not holding it like a secret, but are we gonna say that they compare to each other? Honestly, the scale and tension and drama.
I'm just saying that's not. I'm just saying that is not a. That's not a That's a reusable concept. The whole rating of the like.
I feel like Hero Academia is executing it way better.
Yes, of course they're doing everything well. I'm just saying. I'm just making the point that it's not a new concept. That's it. Really well done, super well, just not new.
Fair enough.
Okay. Now, unless we have anything more to say about it,
I do not.
Let us move on to Shokugeki no Soma, Season 4, Episode 8.
Yes. Who would have guessed? Rindo won.
Yeah, shocker. Huge shocker. So it looks like Nakiri did end up making him the judge, and he literally brought on like 2 floozies.
Yeah. One is super thirsty. And...
Yeah, she's like, can I blow it on for you? Can I literally give you head under the desk while you're eating your meal?
I like that they have like interactions with the other judge, the other female judge. Like they have like that's what I really love about the show is even minor like super minor characters have this like really good interactions and fleshed out backstories and stuff. Like there is no stone unturned.
Yeah, like they didn't have to give her that whole thing with she used to be ugly. She used to look like these two put together. God, that was so disrespectful, by the way.
Like you burned like 3 different people at once.
Like Nene and Megumin literally had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was. So yeah, they're judges now, and that's a thing. I mean, at the very least, we knew Rindo's dish won barely, more or less, because even homegirl was like, yeah, I really can't say nothing.
Although to be fair, I think Aldini's looked better. It kind of.
Oh yeah, excuse me. Yeah, no, hers looked like a layered
cake
burger thing. Yeah. But then they did the whole thing with Ishiki and Nene thing, where it's like some super hardcore like shipping moment.
Yeah, they really went out of their way to be like these two together forever.
Yeah, everyone. Right here.
They could have ended it with Ishiki just running up to her and like making out with her on the Shokugeki.
Let me say on the judging table.
On the judging table.
Then ate my dish and he just goes down there. And oh god, well, I just made Dojin in my head.
Yeah, I was about to say you could write your own fanfic to this. Damn, there's not. You know what's surprising? There's not a lot of Shokugeki porn. I guess it's like this law that's
really
the more lewd something is, the less porn it usually gets.
Right, and that's great. So wait, there's no Queensblade?
Not as much, no. I haven't seen much Queensblade porn. There's a few dojins here and there.
Wow, yeah, and they really laid it on thick this episode. They literally just like, oh my god, we're here to just be fan service.
Oh, the two other judges. I think there was like literally a moment where they were just like, "All right, let's present our appreciation for this dish. Yeah, our lingerie for this dish."
We're comparing this how we compare our lingerie. Like it all of a sudden became like this weird like QVC commercial where we're selling lingerie, and I'm like, what?
I like how it keeps your attention, like, because it's like they're aware, like, all right, it's just cooking. If you just talk about cooking, it's gonna get boring after a while. So we have to spice it up with these really random segments that are almost like out of a slapstick comedy.
Oh my god! Not to mention, well, randomly, Ishiki's soup looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Looked really good. I am very much a soup person. I really like a good soup. It has to have stuff in it.
Mm.
Like I go to soup and like someone's making me soup and I'm pretty sure I'm at the point where I'm like I no longer really want canned stuff. Which is weird, because I'll
You
do
only
ramen.
do
I'll do
legit soup.
ramen. No, I'll do ramen, but I don't want stuff out of a can
So no
per se.
Campbell's.
Nah. Maybe it was like tomato soup. Because at that point I'm just like I'm only eating you because I made a grilled cheese sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
But and yeah, and I was grown like since I was young, I was used to eating like really good soup. Like I don't know, Jamaicans make really like they are about the soup life.
Mm-hmm.
People, I feel like people in the Caribbean in general, which is ironic because it's hot all the time, so you wouldn't expect them to know how to do a good soup, but yet they really do. Like I've had uh, soup from Puerto Rico. I think it was at the little New Year's party I went to, like with
Mm-hmm.
your family.
Oh,
I
it
think
was
they
like
made
that
some
fish
soup.
stew or something.
Probably that was good.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I know it's like to have a good soup. So I just saw him bring his soup, and I was just like, oh, now I want soup.
Yeah, it did look really, really good. I liked how when they cut it open and like changed the color of the soup and everything.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for. I just know that what's his name? The ranked one seed is gonna show up with like this little fancy, smancy like cube dish or whatever. And be like, oh, this is blah blah blah, and they're all gonna be like, oh yeah, this is great. And I'm just gonna be like, no, it's not. I want that ishki soup.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing else gonna be as good. It's gonna look very pretty and have small servings.
Mm-hmm. Fuck that. I want some
Yeah,
nice
word.
soup.
I want some soup and not that thin watery soup that from shitty restaurants or that white people love so much. No offense, white people, unless they know how to cook soup.
I feel like it's not difficult to make soup. It's
You
soup.
would be surprised. I feel like there's such a difference between this random soup that I drink and
Mm.
the soup I drink, like Jamaican soup, like Caribbean soup in general.
Actually, here's a good question. So I think was it with you I was saying this before, or was my mom? I don't remember. But is tea technically soup?
Uh,
Because
no.
it's boiled water with you know, a broth, a leaf broth.
Boiling a leaf does not make something soup.
It's boiled water with something in it.
No, you need a little more than like that's called tea. Like I don't know how
I
to explain
don't
it.
know.
That called
Well,
tea
where
and
does
soup.
tea end and soup begin?
Probably depending on your spices. If you're like I'm making this tea and I'm just like okay, and I'm throwing like cumin. We're
Well,
doing
you
a
can have things
splash of
like bone broth soup, which is just literally like a bone in water. So it's not like
yeah,
it
but
needs to
it's
be
like
super fancy to be soup.
but it's not. But notice how you don't call that tea because
That's what I
it's.
mean. It's just a thing in water that gives the water
I think
flavor.
tea specifically is like leaves
Okay.
in in water for tea. That is what tea is. I think with the moment you start boiling other things to make it, like multiple spices and or broth and or meat, then it's no longer tea because
what if I make tea and I put like a piece of cheese in it?
that's just tea with cheese in it, and that's
All right. Well, this is a philosophical question at this point. I think we just have philosophical differences on where tea stops and soup begins.
I mean, I guess that could also just be gross soup.
Mm.
Very gross soup. It's gross tea and soup. One thing to tie it together. All right. Now, if that is all said and done, let us move on to FGO Babylonia, episode 9.
Mm-hmm. The Ishtar Aresh episode.
Quite literally, which I was really fine with. First of all, Gil is a shady bitch.
Buy me a goddess.
Buy me a god. Like literally, just the animation of him explaining how she doesn't have golden rule and him just like resting his head on his like resting his head down, that cocky head resting on his hand thing, and just saying, "Buy me a goddess." No, I was like, ugh,
Yeah,
ugh.
he's great. They do a really good job with facial expressions, which ties into the myriad of facial expressions that Ishtar had throughout this episode, where she just straight up looked like Aqua at certain points. I
She
think there
looked
was
like
like
who?
Aqua from Konosuba.
Yeah.
She had a few Aqua moments.
Yeah, she really did, which is really funny. Yeah, when he threw
All the gems at her.
and there's that whole back and forth, and even the MC was kind of funny because he's like, "Oh no, looks like we just have to take these back."
Mhm.
Like,
I think this was a good episode all around for all the characters.
hmm
The MC had some good lines. Mosh had some good lines.
yeah,
Um, Ishtar had a great few moments here and there. The moment with the scene with the bull that they're talking about, like, oh, don't you have that giant bull thing to help us in case of emergencies? And she just like starts freaking out, like, oh yeah, of course I do. Foreshadowing.
uh, yeah. I got to write my diary. Bye. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was really good. Yeah, Ishtar was. Yeah, it just. I don't know. It just really took like the moment that we read through, which was already so entertaining, and just gave it life. It just breathed life into the whole story.
Yeah,
The
and I think
adaptation
it
is so good.
and I think it shows you don't need pure action. Like I remember some people were mentioning that when they were asking about me about it on stream, I think they think it's too actiony and it doesn't really take time to talk about the story. But then I think like episodes like this kind of show that it doesn't need to rely on action because there
Yeah.
was only like a little mini tiny action scene, but most of this episode was just dialogue and going from place to place, and I think it did a really good job of like fleshing out the characters that way and having everyone Gil, Merlin, and them just show off how much of a range of emotions they have and expressions.
Yeah.
It built
And
up the characters.
also, I would argue that while they do have a lot of fighting, one, there's a lot of fighting, and
Mm-hmm.
two,
So what happens
and
when it's a gotcha
two,
game and like every node has a battle on it.
and two, when they do talk, like they only say what needs to be said. Like I feel like they capture the important parts that we, as someone, as people who played through
Singularity.
the Singularity. Thank you.
Mm.
How many months ago was it? It was this. Was it earlier this year?
It was earlier this year, yeah, like really
Yeah.
early this year.
No, it wasn't earlier this year. It was last year.
Didn't it drop at the end of last year?
It dropped. No, it dropped last year because after this was
Solomon.
Solomon, which you had to beat it before the New Year.
We didn't
That's
have
all.
to beat it before the new year.
You didn't have to, but my point is that was released.
Yeah, but
Before.
we didn't finish Babylon in time for Solomon though.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we probably finished it like early January.
Yeah, something around there.
Um. But yeah. Either way.
My favorite
Point.
moment. Oh, what was your point?
No, my point is we still remember like those important like scenes, like the scene that made us laugh. It doesn't have to be like literally every single line. They have to, you
Adapt,
know,
yeah.
adapt, or else it has to be a lot longer than 21 episodes.
35 to 50 episodes.
Exactly.
I'm still wondering if they're gonna work in the Solomon thing because I haven't gotten a read on how fast the show's going. So maybe not. It probably won't. It probably won't because there's only 21 episodes, so it'll probably end right where it's supposed to. Maybe they'll do like a Solomon OVA or something. My favorite part of the whole episode though was the Aresh moment at the end because they had such a nice little sweet dialogue session between her and MC, and she was just so fucking adorable, making all the cutest little facial expressions, and her demeanor was so cute, and her voice actor did an amazing job of like line delivery. It worked so well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, she was very like it was like, oh, like I don't know. It was very cute, like light, subtle. It's the kind of synthetic that I really like.
Not as aggressive as Ishtar.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely like a more subdued, a more like Ren being Ren. That's what I love. I like that even Arash very much still feels like Ren.
Yeah, it's like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, just a softer side,
Mm-hmm. It makes me want to roll for her that much more.
which you will, right?
I will. Yep. After
Yeah, when did she
Abby.
come out?
It should be in the middle of December, so like the 15th ish around there.
Oh my god! And Abbey Rules are coming up tomorrow,
Abby's on the 9th.
the 9th.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Salem comes out tomorrow, so yay.
Yay! We're behind.
Yep,
Yes, but is that all we have to say about FGO Babylonia?
great episode.
Yes, very good as always. Next up, we have Haatage, Kemono Michi, episode 9.
Yep.
Um,
I don't know how to feel about this episode.
so I feel like this episode highlights a problem that I think I've been saying for like the past 2 weeks now.
Which is
Like, don't get me wrong, it had some funny moments. It
Mhm.
really did. But, like, it's so funny. It's like, it was funny, but it was also so stale. It was so stale. Like, they literally did a gag that they did with the princess from the first episode, and they kept doing it multiple
Yeah, I think
times
that's
in
my
one
biggest
episode.
problem. They did it like at least like it felt like at least 10 times, right? They just kept doing
Yeah,
it
that's not.
over
I don't
and
even think
over.
that's no more exaggeration. She just kept getting slammed. Like,
Yeah, and I feel like rule of three here, you don't want to do the same joke more than 3 times, and it's just like over and over and over and over in succession. And I'm just like, all right, it's losing its impact every time you do it. So you gotta change it up and make it different, or you can't just like loop the same animations over and over and over again.
it was the
Um,
same.
One thing I did like about this episode though is that it's tying everything together. So all the little
Mm,
plot threads are coming together with Mao
that I did
and the
like.
Loli. Yeah,
And the prince, I did like that eventually they met up with the prince. That's my thing. It's like it's so good that they're finally tying everything together, even though it's literally episode 9. So it's like,
so
eh.
they better tie
Yeah, they
together.
kind of don't have a choice unless they're doing a season 2.
Mm.
Um, but also at the same time, uh, it's like the princess comes back just to have a very continuous one punch of a
Yeah,
line.
yeah. It wasn't the best episode, but
Mm.
at least it served as a bridge to connect the two storylines. And I'm
Yeah,
very
at
curious
least.
to see Mao and Genzo confront each other, which looks like it's going to happen next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they had plot.
There's also a little thing with Hanako and Carmilla trying to hide the origins of the Demon King from Genzo, which
Mm,
makes me think either Hanako's the Demon King or she knows the Demon King or the Demon King is her dad or something.
something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I did like I did like your vampire lolly this episode, Joanna.
Yeah, she was cute.
She had that little moment when they were like, "Yeah, what's that technique?" And she's like, "You know," and she's like, "What is it, Queen?" And she's like, "Ugh." Like you see on the face that she doesn't know either.
Yeah, that was cute. I like Tanako's moment where she went up to Carmilla and just grabbed her and just started smacking the shit out of her.
Yeah, right. Like like a moment where Carmella's like telling him what the Demon King looks like. It's so ridiculous, and she's just smacking him for disrespecting him. Maybe like that would be like what would happen to me
hmm
if like some alien came down and was like, what does a Jesus look like? And then I don't know, made him look like a Stallfo or something.
That sounds like an awesome way to describe Jesus and correct the course of human history. But yeah,
uh,
it's like a middling episode. It had some good moments. It had some
yeah.
really low moments. So
Yeah,
shape up,
eventually.
Hatage.
Yeah, please, and thank you. All right, let's talk about Azur Lane.
Drew's favorite show ever.
So if you guys literally couldn't tell, this is definitely one of the shows I was comparing My Hero Academia
For
to.
some reason, for some insane reason, but continue.
Just in the sense that in the first half, they were just like, we're kind of just going to go around and say things that aren't of a lot of importance.
I found them interesting. Like, Kaga's... See, here's the thing, though. The reason you don't find them interesting is because you just don't give a shit about any of the characters. I could easily say the same thing with My Hero Academia. Like, if I sat down and watched My Hero Academia Season 4 without watching the other seasons and just saw this episode, I'd be like, I don't give a shit about anything they're talking about because I don't give a shit about any of the characters.
Okay, but... And I knew you were going to say that, however... In comparison, which I feel like you're gonna be like, you can't compare it to, even though they're both gacha games. They're both things that into anime.
Whoa! Hero Academia is not based off a gacha game.
I didn't say that. I was talking about FGO.
Oh, okay.
FGO, easily better characters and a better plot.
Okay, yes, because the writing in FGO is the main point of the game. The writing in Azur Lane is not what the selling point is. But I still think I care enough about the characters where it's just like, for example, it's not like they did a bad job setting it up. I think that the whole thing with Kaga was set up well. You just have to actually give a shit about the characters, which you clearly don't.
I don't. I love
because they have a lot of good. They actually have a lot of surprisingly good character moments. Like I said before, with Akagi and Kaga specifically, they have a lot of depth to their character in the show, at least. So I found that moment with Kaga being like, "You can't just leave my sister here." Kind of interesting.
Really? How's that interesting? She doesn't want to leave her sister because she loves her sister. Like, it's very...
Okay, well, alright, well, I could easily reduce whatever happened in My Hero Academia to the same standard. Well, they just want to save the girl because their job as heroes. Save girls, whatever.
Okay, except we know that's not the case. But, however, for Azur Lane, I can say that what my thing is, it is the case. She wants
that
to
is, it's the case in both, and it's the case in both. In My Hero Academia, they just want to save the girl because they're heroes and it's their job to save people. There you go.
That is not...
You're just being extremely reductive. You're being because there's more to their character. I'm not saying they're the most well-written characters in the world, but there's more to their character depth than that.
Explain to me what more. Besides Kagi loving her sister, is there to them wanting to save her? Please explain more. Go.
I'm saying that there's a depth of character between their relationship. All right, so if my mom is in trouble and it's not a realistic moment if I want to save my mom because she's my mom and I love her.
Whoa, this is not the argument if it's realistic or not.
I'm just saying it's a good. The characters themselves are interesting and they were well put together. This series. It's not like they're flat characters. If you want to compare these characters to other average anime, like I don't know, do you want to compare them to the characters in Gin no Guardian? If you could, no, bullshit. If you're gonna compare it to, if you're comparing it. If you're comparing it to Hero Academia, I get to compare it to Gin no Guardian. Which characters are better? Random fucking girl in Gin no Guardian, or this girl, or Kaga in Akagi?
I'm not saying these characters are bad. I'm not even saying Kagi's bad. That's you're you're twisting this argument to something totally different. I didn't say.
Then what's your point?
I said my point is they're saying like, you know, like I said. I want to save my sister because I love my sister. Like, it's like, okay, she loves her sister. I get it. Makes sense. You want to save your sister. Totally understand.
Okay.
However, but like, my point is, you know, that's it. Like,
what more do you want?
I need a little bit of complexity. I can like.
All right, now that's not fair because now you're just trying to ask for things that the show is not trying to deliver.
No,
I could easily just say the same thing about My Hero Academia. I want a more complex story, and no matter what it does, I can just keep asking for more complexity from the story.
The point is that baseline statement I said when you were trying to compare it to, and you said the baseline statement for My Hero Academia, there is so much more underneath.
Okay, and there's a lot more to Akagi and Kaga's relationship. Did you not see the interactions that they have? Moments with the Akagi has a complexity between not just being evil for evil's sake, she also cares about her empire and the other children, and she's good with children. Kaga's more socially awkward and strong. Yeah. Like, there's complexity to the characters. You make it just sound like they're just there and they don't do anything, and one girl just cares because it's her sister.
Actually, I was gonna say that is the one thing I liked about this episode. Don't get me wrong, even though we're talking about like this, I actually did like this episode because it was very much. It kind of. And like this is the only saving grace for Azur Lane. If it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for this and Belfast, I would absolutely not care about this anime. Is the fact that they are really good at highlighting the contradictions of war.
Yes.
Like, yes, they do that very well for an anime. I will say that.
Like, my thing with this show is at least it's trying. Like, there's so many shows, and that's why I stick up for it so much, because there's so many shows that are just, or anime that are just cash grabby, low effort bullshit that don't try to do anything, and they're just like, whatever, throw a 2-note character on there, just sell more stuff. And this show actually is trying to have character development, and yeah, it's not Hero Academia where it has layers upon layers upon layers of character interactions and complexity, but at least it's doing the most it can do with a show about collecting ship waifus to battle with each other. So the level of effort that goes into it is, I find, praiseworthy. So I'm going to defend it on that stake. It could have been a complete low effort garbage show where it's just like, whatever, just play the game if you want more.
Okay, and I get that, but on the same foot, I will say that yes, it could. Just because something could have been so much worse does not make it good by default. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying in general, that is my rule for judging anime. Just because there are worse things out there, because I've watched them, does not make an anime instantly like, oh my god, this anime.
And I agree with that. I do give points. I do give points when the show actually does try to put effort in, because there's so many shows that don't.
And I will fantasy. And I will say that anime, at least for this episode, was like, oh, like, like here, like it was trying to make a statement outside of "buy me."
Exactly, which is what I think is commendable about the show. Plus, I think it does do a good job of
also
fleshing out the main characters.
Has the best dialogue, and she is literally amazing in this anime. Probably arguably the best character in this entire show. I don't think I can really think of one that can beat her.
Laffy is right there. Even though she didn't really have any moments to show.
Yeah, right. She's like a very close second for me. But yeah, Belfast is just there. She's just like, listen, those hard answers, the hard questions that you're asking, keep asking them. Keep talking about it. They mean something. When
she was really good this episode.
She said, we're made to fight, not to destroy. I was like, oh, please. Why are you so good? I feel like I consider myself playing this game just for her. Just to get Belfast.
No one else. I have Belfast. I'm done. I did like this episode.
Wait, are you saying no one else uses Belfast?
Oh no, she's pretty good.
Oh, wait.
She's not top tier. I'm just saying.
Okay, so I'm not playing the game, guys. Continue.
I use her. This episode it had this weird thing with the animation. Did you notice it? Where it's like, it was very fluid in certain parts, like the action was fluid, but then there was like weird animation stuff with other scenes, like weird faces and like out of focus things.
Okay. So that was my other gripe with this. Because you know who I literally and have been complaining about it on and off the podcast about who has a somewhat similar animation.
What?
Black Clover. That's it. That was it right there. That what you saw in Azur Lane with all that weird, out of focusy, everything's kind of blurry stuff.
Yeah.
That is Black Clover, like half the battle fight scenes, and that is and that's why I hate it, because it seems like it's like you guys have no money.
Yeah, it's like this weird animation trick that they're trying to do, but
exactly. Like I feel like they just saw a bunch of episodes of Black Clover. They're like, "Ooh, let's do this."
Watch the key animator was also the guy who worked on Black Clover.
Oh my god, that would. Even though I feel like they didn't do it much, like this is like the only episode where they did it. I feel like.
Yeah, it was like distinctly different from the animation in the other episodes, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and I feel like I saw someone on Twitter like I feel like Twitter did like a bad job of hyping me up, thinking it was like gonna be like a super crazy like animated fighting episode. Like, oh, the animation is episode insane. Yeah, someone said it on Twitter, so I was actually hyped for it, and then I saw the episode, and I was just like, eh. So for once, Oni did not overhype it and ruin it for me.
Twitter
Someone
did.
else,
Yeah.
Twitter did. But yeah, it was, and even though it had that weird fighting animation, it was like, I. It was one of those things once again where I feel like in terms of their fighting, it's like they could just go a little. I need them to just go give me a little bit more. They don't. It's like every time they do a chunk. I feel like in their minds when they do it, they're like, we're just doing this to meet a quota of action, and then we're done. Like I can feel it in the animation. They don't go quite the distance I need them to go, and that's my problem with Azur Lane a lot of the time when they do their action scenes. And I never feel satisfied at the end of it.
I don't think they have the
I
budget. I don't think they have the budget for amazing action
I
scenes.
can believe that. I can believe that if you said that they don't have the budget. Because, Bibury literally has 3 anime, and one of the anime is called Bibury. So they didn't have a lot of funds. I would not be surprised. Shut up, Google Home.
All right, is that our final word on Azur Lane?
Yes, it is.
So let's move on to Vinland Saga episode 20.
Which is definitely my episode of the week.
Same here.
So yeah, this was the other anime where I literally was so pulled in that the episode was over and I had written down basically nothing. I just wanted to keep watching.
Yeah, I actually did this. I don't usually do this, but when I was watching it and it got to the point, the point after the king's meeting and everything, I had to look at how much time is left in the episode because I'm like, no, please don't end. Please don't end. Oh my god, no, I need more. So this episode was just
Game of Thrones.
It was Game of Thrones. It was just Game of Thrones. It was primo season 1, 2, or 3 of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
It was so good. I love it so much. I love kind of just being the total badass that he is and being like just completely in control
of everything. I love it in the beginning where he just comes back and he's just like telling Floki that, are you gonna stand in my way or are you gonna let me?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Is this how you greet your prince, with fucking soldiers with weapons drawn?
You idiot.
Yeah, stupid.
And then everyone's like, what the hell happened to him?
Floki's like, why are Askeladd, Thorkel, and this dude all on the same team?
Yeah, he was shook. He was visibly shook.
Yeah, I just like Canute just going up to everyone and just asserting his dominance. Like, even the scene at the end with the where they're in the party and Ragnar's brother shows up and starts talking, and then Canute, and Canute's just like, all right, well, your brother's dead, so don't worry about that. I got a new mission for you.
Yeah, sorry about all the hard work you're doing about us like running away to exile.
I'm gonna kill my father, and that's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think he said the part where he's gonna. I don't think he mentioned the killing the father part. I think he mentioned like, I picked a fight with my dad.
Yeah.
Go get some recon on him, please and thank you.
Like spy on him.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was a thing.
The meeting with the king was very tense.
Oh my god, it was so just like they're like, oh, it's so many people, it's an ambush, and the prince is like, I got this. And then when he tells the prince to just walk up 10 paces himself, I'm just like, oh my god, he's separating them.
Yeah, it was. Oof. It was like a really good because if you want to do a show like Game of Thrones, the political intrigue was just as good as the action, and I feel like that's the case here. Like, I'm just as hyped for these moments where it's like political, where it's like, oh, these two big figureheads are gonna go off against each other in a battle of wits, as much as I am for the action fights and stuff.
Excuse me. Oh, it was funny, like the moment where like the priest finally shaves And
Oh
then they
yeah,
like started making comments. I knew it was him right away.
I didn't.
I knew it was him. I knew it was him right away. There's one way he just stood there and was just like drinking so absentmindedly. I'm like, that's probably the priest.
Hope he keeps that way. Hope he keeps that look.
Yeah. Oh, I love how like when they were just about to kill him, he's just like, "Well, this is an ambush. We're gonna kill you now." Like when he's talking about the will of the crown, he's like, "Does the will of the crown tell you to kill me?" And I'm just like, I was like, when he said that, like my heart stopped. I was like, oh,
yeah, it was so
why
good.
would you poke the bear? Like you can feel everyone like panicking. Like the viewers are panicking for Canute. They're like, why would you do that?
And even the moment when Askeladd jumps in to like save him.
Yes. Oh my god.
I was like, oh my god. Because every time I see Askeladd, I'm like, he's gonna die. He's gonna die.
And then he doesn't.
And then he somehow manages to live. It really does feel like Game of Thrones. Like he's that character you know is gonna die soon, but you just don't know when. Like I'm like, oh dude, you're putting yourself in so many situations where you should be dead right now.
So many death flags. And then
he's like Littlefinger. That's who he's like. That's what I was trying to say. He's
God.
just like Littlefinger.
He's a much cooler, less infuriating,
he's
gross, and less gross version of Littlefinger.
He's a Littlefinger who can actually fight and is not as gross.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. But I'm looking for my notes. Right. The part where King Sewen just like talking, and then you could tell the moment where King Sewen tests him, and it's just like, oh, you're probably the son of a slave who was forced to have a baby with the king, and you literally see all the veins.
He was like this aura,
and they show his like double vision.
Yeah,
I literally thought, I was like, is he gonna have like a superpower? Like,
yo, I thought he was gonna make a move on the king and then get like cut down by one of the assassins or something.
Oh my god.
Oof.
I thought they were about to get so angry that you just see like steam like raising from his fingers or something crazy like that.
There's only 3 or 4 more episodes left in the show, and I'm like, no, this show needs a second season. Yeah. It has to have a season 2. There's no way.
This is literally the Golden Kamuy. The Viking Golden Kamuy.
It's the same studio, right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we need this. Why is the studio so good at making tense action dramas?
Wait, is this the same one? This is the same one that made
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
I thought it was also did Code Golden Kamuy. Was it? Oh, it's not.
No, it's not.
I thought it was all the same studio.
Wow, they literally. Oh no, they did Hotai no Yome. Okay, I thought they had like they literally only had like Attack on Titan, and that was it. That is not the case. Well, it basically is the case.
Yeah, if that's a good indication though, because if they're doing Attack on Titan and seeing it through to the end, maybe they'll also do it for Vinland Saga, since Vinland Saga is also a very popular manga series.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who read it, and I'm like, if you spoil me, I will kill you.
Yes, don't spoil it.
Yes. So yeah, we're looking forward to great things for these last 3 episodes. But until then, let's move on to the last episode of the podcast, which is Fire Force, episode 19.
The raid.
The raid, yeah, which is my point. Another case. Well, 2 points. One, this is the other anime I was talking about when they're like half the episode, or not half, but like a decent amount. We're just like, we're just gonna talk about how scary this place is. This is really scary. Oh, it's like hell. Scary place. Hell, scary. Hell, we're going. Hell, so, like I'm just like, oh my god, please get there. I'm actually bored. Please stop. So that's one, and then the second one is just very much like My Hero Academia, also raiding the bad guy's place. Which, once again, not a bad thing. It's just a common shonen.
I just feel like it's a different setup. Like, yes, they're both, at their core, they're both raids. But Hero Academia is like, it's an underground cave.
They do it better, but they're not making it new.
It's like you're breaking into the bad guy's base and there's like an underground cave.
Did you have the nerve to say it's underground?
It's like
bitch, Fire Force is also underground. What are you trying to
no,
say?
that's what I'm saying. The Fire Force one is underground. At least some of the Hero Academia part is above ground. And it just feels cooler because there's like cops. It feels like a cop raid. This feels like, let's go into an underground cavern and find the enemy. It just, the setup feels different.
Yeah.
There's also the time element. There's a time element in the Hero Academia where you have to get to save Eri versus here. It's just like, let's just see what's here and take our time walking around this dark area.
Yeah. It literally is all the same.
I get it. At the core, it's the same, but it's the little things.
Yeah. You can have that. I will give that to you. I have that one part with Arthur where he's sleeping and he's literally saying "Hi ho, Silver." I was like, oh god.
Arthur means the best.
He really is. However, he may be the best boy, but the best girl. And literally, it's so weird because while I am complaining about how long it took them to get in and get inside, once they got inside, this episode did a complete 180. Like, this is almost a contender for episode.
Yeah, I was thinking so too. The actual
so, the
fights,
second half was so good. Once again, Maki proving that she is best girl.
Definitely, she had a great fight scene. She beat the shit out of everybody.
She literally was that bitch this episode. I was a fan for it, but now I am official Maki stan.
I think she might be my favorite character now. Like, I love Tamaki too, but I think Maki's my favorite. She's just so badass and so awesome.
She really is. I love at the end where she's like, "You may be a brawny girl, but you can't be me," and she's like, "Oh, you calling?
Oh, you fucking."
Like, that was such a great, funny way to end a fight.
You know, Maki gets all the love. She's beautiful, she's badass, she's cute at the same time, and she's just fun.
Yes, she is so fantastic. I love... So I really hate what they're doing with Tamaki. Like... Yeah.
It's because I know she's the joke character. She's the joke fan service character.
They're really cramming it all on her. They're putting it all on her, and I feel so bad. She can't have one serious moment for herself.
They faked it. They had like a fake serious moment for her, only for it to end.
and I hate it. I hate it because it was so funny. It was so funny. I was crying. Like, they literally beat... I think they may have killed him.
No, he's dead. I'm like, alright guys, you just killed a dude. Latam. Like, you killed a man.
He literally just beat him over the head with a pipe and...
He's like, I'm not done yet. It's like 2 minutes the camera's just centered on the murdering him.
Throws the... I think she throws the pipe behind him and she's like, Latam. Like literally says amen. That was so awful. Like, they literally had to censor whatever was happening to his head.
Yeah, he's dead. Good job. If we don't see him again, I'm just gonna assume that these two murdered a man who wasn't even in Inferno or anything. They just straight up murdered him. Yeah,
and then it kept it moving because, haha, I guess.
But yeah, no, Tamaki's pure comic relief. The double ganger scene was cute too.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah, I was. Yeah, Iris and Tamaki make quite a team.
I like that pairing. I like pushing them together.
Yeah, they're very funny together. And it's so funny. So I was like, at the end of this, I was like, so basically, what you're telling me is literally what makes this anime great is the female characters. That's what I learned from this episode.
Pretty much.
Literally female characters, Obi and Arthur, and that's it. I don't need anyone else. I don't want anyone else.
It's funny because, like I said, it's a thing where if there's certain periods and moments where a lot of these characters just shine and they're really awesome, and I get those Soul Eater vibes. Like this whole second half of the episode, I got Soul Eater vibes. I'm like, oh, these characters are really unique. Like there's not really that many characters like Amaki out there. She's really fun and awesome. Tamaki is more fan servicey, but her scenes are still great and she's interesting.
So funny. Yeah.
So I got those kind of vibes. Like, but then there's other moments where it just drags on and all the characters don't get to show any of their personality.
The first half.
Yeah, basically
AKA,
the first
AKA
half.
the first
This was a
half.
perfect like microcosm of the show in general. This episode,
Yes.
the first half is the show when it's at its worst, being super boring and repetitive and bland, and the second half is when it's being like Soul Eater, where it's awesome and has unique visuals and cool dynamic characters with good personalities and awesome action.
Okay, I will say pause though. Tamaki is not one of those things that you
Well,
described.
she's not dynamic, but she's cute, so she gets a pass. She's
At the very least, I guess she's cute.
yes, exactly. And there was fan service characters in Soul Eater that are like Tamaki. I think like Blair.
Yeah,
So
okay.
yeah.
Not saying she's bad, because like as long as you deliver and make me laugh, like as long as you do your job as sort of the character you're supposed to be, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's gonna be this good, then it's fine.
Also, take notes, Kemono Michi, on how to do a one-note joke. At least with Tamaki's, constant fan servicey things, it works.
It did. He just literally lost her top king of her bago, and then her bra panties slipped off. I was like, wait, what?
It is you, Tamaki.
Yeah, I was like, excuse.
So yeah, that's where we're at with Fire Force, I guess. And if you guys enjoyed this episode of the G&A podcast, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you can catch us every week as the podcast goes up. If you haven't already, do join the party over to our Discord, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on Twitch, all linked in the description below. And if you want, you can even go that extra mile and become a patron like all these lovely people on screen right now. And you get to be a part of the live watch of Babylonia as we do that every week. So that sounds interesting. Go ahead and do that. Drew, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Guys, as I sit here and look out the window, it's winter. It's cold. It just snowed for the first time today.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
Yes. You know what? This would be a great time for some soup. Go
Soup.
get some
Get some soup, guys. Get some Campbell's.
Good for the soul.
Yes. This has been Soberoni, and
Dooby doo.
we'll catch you next time. Later!
Bye.